Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS. We're into NFL Week 16, Thursday Night Football, AFC West battle here. Broncos are on the road in LA to play the Chargers. Let's go. Welcome to the SWAS. Hey, get the sauce. All right, like I said, we got Denver on the road here. The Chargers are laying 2.5, well, mostly 2.5. There are still a couple threes out there. Total sitting at mostly 41.5 across the board here. Take a look at the pie charts, and according to the data, action's coming in pretty heavily on the Denver side. 70% of the tickets, over 60% of the money. As I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. So let's get into this one, and we'll start with some trends. Denver's done well when traveling out to LA to play the Chargers. They're 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 trips. They're also 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 matchups against the Chargers as underdogs. So 9-4 on the road in LA, 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 as dogs. Also, the under has consistently cashed in the last 14 games in LA between the Chargers and the Broncos. That dates back to the days in San Diego, by the way. 12-2 to the under. So in this particular spot, Broncos on the road at Chargers, Denver and the under has been the move according to historical trends. But we're not interested in the past. Let's talk about this matchup right here. We'll start with the Broncos offense against the Chargers defense. Denver offensively 20th in yards per play, 21st in success rate. Against the Chargers defense, 14th and 8th. So based on the season-long numbers, Chargers defense should definitely have the edge here. Now, if you're betting the Chargers, you're definitely a little bit worried about the defense at home. They played much better defense on the road this year. In their road games, they're allowing just 14 points per game, 5.2 yards per play, 46.3% success rate. At home, yards per play is at 6.7. They're allowing a full touchdown more in their home games this year. Success rate just over 47%. So you definitely don't like the look of that if you're betting the Chargers. That being said, this Broncos offense has not looked good recently, and I know you look at the points per game and you're like, what are you talking about? In the last 3 games, they're averaging 33.7 points per game, which is true, but the yards per play is down. The success rate is down. The truth is, this Broncos offense really hasn't looked good the last few games. They've been gifted a lot of points in the last few. Specifically, look at last week against the Colts. Yeah, they scored 31 points in the game. They averaged 3.6 yards per play. That's terrible. 36.8% success rate. I mean, look at Bo Nix in his last 2 games. Completing just 55.9% of his passes, 212 yards per game, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, and a 63.6 passer rating. Bo Nix has not been very good in the last few games. Jameis Winston gave him some pick sixes. Anthony Richardson hooked them up. Broncos have been gifted a lot of points in the last few games. The offense has not looked good. Now, the bright spot of this Broncos offense is the offensive line. Specifically, I'm talking about the pass protection. They're 4th in pressure rate allowed, 1st in pass blocking grade, 3rd in adjusted sack rate. They've truly been excellent. One of the best pass protections in the NFL here. And the Chargers pass rush, I mean, at times, it looked like it was coming around. I mean, Bosa was banged up a little bit. Khalil Mack was banged up a little bit. But this is not an elite pass rush. They're actually probably, I would call them an average pass rush, maybe a slightly below average pass rush. 23rd in pressure rate, 15th in pass rush grade. So Bo Nix should have clean pockets to throw from in this game. That being said, I mean, Bo Nix is 34th in the NFL in yards per pass attempt from a clean pocket. Certainly having clean pockets, it's definitely a positive, but I don't know if Bo Nix is the guy that necessarily scares me here when it comes to clean pockets. Now, Bo Nix does throw the ball downfield, and that could be a positive for him here. 13.9% of his pass attempts are considered deep passes. He actually has some efficient throwing numbers, throwing the ball deep as well. That does play into the weakness of this Chargers defense. They're actually the best defense in the NFL, limiting short passes, 18th against the deep pass, so there's something. Also, the Chargers run a lot of zone coverage, over 77% zone coverage frequency, 3rd most in the NFL. Bo Nix has better numbers against zone. He's actually been pretty terrible against man coverage this year. 24th in completion percentage, 25th in pass rating, 17th in turnover-worthy play rate against zone. Significantly better than his numbers against man coverage. And also, I mentioned how this Chargers defense has struggled at home. It's specifically the pass defense. In their home games this year, they're allowing 7.9 yards per attempt, 49.8% success rate per dropback, 106.5 average opponent passer rating. Now, Mahomes is in there, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow. They have seen some tough competition in their home games, but no question, there's a drop-off in production. They've struggled to defend the pass at home. So even though Bo Nix has been pretty terrible, maybe this isn't such a bad matchup for for him. Now, another thing the Chargers do a lot of, though, too high safety looks, 59% frequency, third most in the NFL. Bo Nix has really struggled against too high safety looks, 29th in completion percentage, 37th in yards per pass attempt, 28th in passer rating. Also, the Chargers run a lot of cover 4, over 23% of the time, second most in the NFL. Bo Nix has been pretty awful against cover 4, 31st in completion percentage, 35th in yards per attempt, 34th in passer rating. So overall, there are a couple positive angles here for Bo Nix. There's also a couple negative. Personally, I don't trust the Broncos offense at all right now. Bo Nix has looked really bad. He's been struggling against bad teams. He had that great game against Atlanta. Since then, he's seen the Raiders, the Browns, and the Colts. It's not like these are elite defenses, and the production is down. Bo Nix has really been struggling here. So on the road in LA against a Chargers defense that I think is pretty good, I don't know. I don't have a ton of faith in Bo Nix throwing the ball in this game. Now, you can point at the Chargers secondary. They're definitely dealing with injuries right now. Gilman's still out. Asante Samuel Jr. is still out. Also, a couple injuries to the depth as well. Molden is listed as doubtful. Cam Hart is ruled out. Chargers are pretty deep, though, in the secondary. Keep in mind, they've got Marcus May back there. Also, Jasir Taylor's been pretty good. Tarheeb Still's been pretty good. So they are pretty deep in the secondary. Like I said, I don't really trust Bo Nix right now. He does not look good. So on the road here, I think he's going to struggle. Now, you might have noticed I haven't mentioned the Broncos run game at all. There's a reason for that. There's really nothing to mention. They've just not been able to run the ball at all. In their last 7 games, they're averaging less than 94 rushing yards per game, 3.7 yards per carry, 31.4% success rate per rush. And if we bring that Chargers injury depth chart back up, Denzel Perryman might be back. He actually participated in a full practice, so it looks like Perryman's going to be back. He hasn't played in a month and a half now. One of their best run stoppers. So no, I do not think Denver's going to be able to run the ball in this game. Not to mention McLaughlin's out. He was listed as questionable. He's officially been ruled out. So Javonte Williams is going to be the main guy getting the carries. He's not nearly as explosive. So I don't expect Bo Nix to have any run support in this game. Like I said before, I don't trust Bo Nix right now. I think the Broncos are really going to struggle offensively. But what about the matchup on the other side of the ball? We got the Chargers offense against the Broncos defense, and this is where you can find some value on Denver. Broncos defense has been great this year, second in yards per play, second in success rate against a Chargers offense that's 18th and 29th. So looking like a favorable matchup for Denver on this side of the ball. And also, this Chargers offense seems to be trending in the wrong direction. Week 7 through 11, they were red hot, 25.8 points per game, 6.9 yards per play. In the 4 games since then, just 18.5 points per game, 5.4 yards per play. Success rate is actually up, so there's something. But the yards per play down, points per game down. Look at the passing production. From 274 yards per game, 9.1 yards per attempt, down to 195 and 6.3. Run game has been non-existent for the Chargers since week 13. Since J.K. Dobbins went down, 3.8 yards per carry, 61.7 rushing yards per game, 33.5% success rate per rush. So they haven't had much of a rushing attack at all. Now, the good news for the Chargers offense is Riley Moss has been ruled out of this one for Denver. So Riley Moss is not playing in this game. We saw Jameis Winston have no problems throwing the ball all over this Broncos defense without Riley Moss. He threw for over 450 yards. So that definitely gives me a little more confidence here in Justin Herbert. That being said, the pass rush is a problem. These Broncos blitz packages, definitely a problem here. Not that Justin Herbert's been terrible under pressure. He's 14th in yards per pass attempt, 18th in passer rating. But look at the pressure to sack rate, 24.2%, 36th in the NFL. He's definitely had problems taking sacks at a high rate this year. Denver's 4th in the NFL in adjusted sack rate. Not what you want to see if you're betting the Chargers here. Now, the Chargers offensive line has been decent in pass protection. They're 16th in pressure rate, 14th in pass blocking grade, but still it's hard to believe that they completely take the Denver pass rush out of the game. So Denver probably will be able to generate pressure on Justin Herbert here. They also blitz a lot, but there's really nothing here in terms of the splits for Justin Herbert. Against the blitz, he's 19th in completion percentage, 17th in yards per pass attempt, 15th in passer rating. When not blitzed, he's 32nd, 17th, and 12th. So really not much there. He's actually been slightly better against the blitz, I guess. Really nothing to take away there. Now, if you're betting Denver in this game, you definitely like this here. Broncos run a lot of man coverage. Over 35% of their defensive snaps are in man coverage, 5th most in the NFL. The reason you like it if you're betting Denver, Justin Herbert's had a lot of problems throwing the ball in man coverage this year. 29th in completion percentage, 29th in yards per attempt, 27th in passer rating, 10th in big time throw rate, 10th in turnover worthy play rate. All 5 of those numbers significantly worse than his numbers against zone coverage. So definitely don't like that. Although Riley Moss being out definitely helps Justin Herbert's case a little bit. Throwing on man coverage, they're missing their second best corner, the second best corner on the team. But still, Justin Herbert against man coverage has not been a great look this year. It's really tough to find positive angles for Justin Herbert in this game. You can point at this. The weakness of the Denver defense has been the intermediate pass. They're 22nd in DVOA against that pass. Justin Herbert throws that pass a lot, and he's pretty good at it. Also throws the ball downfield, and Denver's not the best defense against downfield passing, especially without Riley Moss. Ladd McConkey is healthy, so I think Justin Herbert will have opportunities to make some big throws in this game. Other than that, though, it's not a great matchup for Justin Herbert here. So when it comes to betting this game, I mean, it's tough. I bet the Chargers early at -3. You can get a -2.5 now, but I don't really love the matchup for the Chargers offensively. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. Justin Herbert, not a great matchup for him against a bunch of man coverage. In my opinion, this is just a perfect sell high spot on the Denver Broncos. I mean, they've been skating by. The final scores don't really tell the story here. Last week against the Colts, if Jonathan Taylor doesn't drop the ball, they're down, 20-7? In that game, and then they were gifted a pick 6. They scored 31 points in the game. The offense had like 180 total yards. The game before that was Cleveland. The Browns outgained Denver 550 to 400 in that game. Jameis Winston was gifting Denver points. The game before that was the Raiders, and the Raiders played them kind of tough. I mean, their last 4 games, the Colts, the Browns, the Raiders, the Falcons, 4 teams I don't consider to be good. Denver's won all 4 games. The Falcons game, they won decisively. But the 3 games since then, I don't think Denver's looked very good. And here they are against a Chargers team that I think is pretty good on the road on a short week. Under a field goal, it'll be Chargers. I have Chargers -3, but I like it at 2.5. I might bet it again at 2.5. So I'm on the Chargers. Don't love the matchup, though. I also like the under. If you can get a 42.5, I don't hate an under either. Live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through this game. We'll go through the bowl game. We'll go through the NBA slate. There's no college basketball. No good college basketball. But we'll go through all of that. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me. Please remember to bet responsibly. Talk to you later.